So again, another 50,000 foot view if you want to look at this and understand how the immune system works. You can see that the very first step, here, number one, is the innate immunity that happens instantly and continues for a couple of hours. And lots of things happen here. First of all, we get notification that the pathogen has arrived. So the pathogen is here. The natural killer cell, which is always in charge of surveilling the blood and tissues to find invaders, it sees the pathogen there. It releases pro-inflammatory cytokines. It also the pathogen that is also picked up by the dendritic cell. And all of these complements, so complements are the chemicals that complement the immune response, all right, literally that complement the immune response, start to organize all of the things that are happening, okay? One of the other functions that happens in the inflammatory process is chemotaxis. That's where all of these chemicals, these pro-inflammatory cytokines, start to get released into the bloodstream to attract neutrophils to the scene. Okay? When those neutrophils arrive, then they can begin the process of phagocytosis, or I should say continue the process of phagocytosis. Now, at some point, then we go from this innate immune response into the cell-mediated and humoral immune responses. So the cell-mediated is up here, cell-mediated, and that consists of the CD8 cells presenting the antigens, or being presented the antigens from the antigen-presenting cell. And remember, the dendritic cell is often the antigen-presenting cell. And so that gets the T cells involved, and they can do their thing. The humoral immune response then is in two parts. Humoral immune response is the plasma cells, or the B cells, I should say, that begin the process of recognizing the antigen. That's step one. And step two is they begin generating the antibodies down here. Okay? So the initial antibodies produced are IgM. They are short-lived and not very impressive in their response. And then when the plasma cell is shown that antigen again, then IgG shows up and makes a much better response. And we'll look at that in more detail later as well. The memory cell is the magic of the humoral immune response, because even decades later, the memory cells remember that they were exposed to that antigen. And the most remarkable image of this, and I don't know the whole story, but there was some island somewhere that had been exposed to measles, and it was the only outbreak of measles, and it killed a gazillion people. Well, not a gazillion, because it was an island, so there weren't a gazillion, but there were many people there. It killed many people. The people who survived then, something like 8 decades later, still had measurable memory cell function and antibodies that were targeted to measles. So measles is one of those diseases that our body responds to. When we survive measles, we maintain that immunity probably for a lifetime.